Hi, I'm Stephanie with the Freck Group at Premier Homes and Properties, and today Shad Freck is going to join me, and we're going to discuss the 7 reasons why people are moving to Johnson City, Tennessee and the surrounding areas, and why they are loving it. Hello, we have Shad Freck joining us today, and we are going to discuss the 7 reasons that people are moving to Johnson City and the surrounding areas and why they are loving it.
Actually, Stephanie and I are transplants to this area, and we came up with these 7 reasons based on our own personal experience and what our clients are telling us.
So Shad, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you landed in Northeast Tennessee?
Well, I started visiting the area close to 20 years ago. My sisters and her family moved here, and every time I came to visit, I always went back to Indiana and always thought, man, one of these days I'm going to live around that area. And it finally happened about 6.5 years ago, and I haven't regretted it one bit.
And I moved here 15 years ago after growing up in Michigan, and I lived in Washington State, Arizona, Texas, and Florida, and no regrets. We both love it here. We came up with 7 reasons. It could have been 27 reasons, but today we're just going to stick with 7. And before we get into the 7 reasons, we just want to chat a little bit about what we're seeing in the news and online about people moving to Johnson City and Northeast Tennessee. Realtor.com reported that 49.2% of the people looking at homes for sale online in Tennessee are actually from out of state, and they're from cities like Asheville, New York, Washington, D.C. And I thought it was pretty interesting because I didn't see any cities listed from California.
Yeah, that was a surprise to not see any on the list. We've helped a lot of people from California continue to this day. Didn't you have a closing today?
I did. So there's an example. And I will say tons from New York. So they got that right for sure.
So each year U-Haul comes out with their own data report, and for the year 2020, there's been reported more people moved to Tennessee than any other state in the country, bypassing Texas and Florida, who have a lot more population than we do.
And along with that, Pods ranked Johnson City, Knoxville, and Chattanooga number 2, number 3, and number 4 for places that people are moving in the United States. And the Wall Street Journal, along with Realtor.com, reported, and I have to go to my notes for this one, they identified the top metro areas for home buyers and home buyers seeking an appreciating housing market and appealing lifestyle amenities. Johnson City ranked number 23 in the nation.
And that's of all cities of all sizes, so it's pretty impressive for a city of about 67,000 people.
So Johnson City is doing something right. And last but not least, Insurify chose Johnson City as the best place for new home buyers in 2021.
So let's get down to business. Here are the top 7 reasons people are moving to Johnson City in Northeast Tennessee.
And why they are loving it. Number 7, the history. I'm standing here in front of the Cumberland Presbyterian Church, located in Greenville, the 2nd oldest town in Tennessee. And this church actually has a cannonball lodged in the front of the church. In 1864, a skirmish broke out in the town, and a cannonball was shot into the front of the church. Later that day, General John Morgan lost his life right in this area. The Cumberland Presbyterian Church is just one of 5 pre-Civil War churches still standing in this town. Greenville is also the home and resting place of our 17th president, Andrew Johnson. Around every corner is another piece of history, and Greenville is just one of many historic towns in this area. Jonesboro, Rogersville, Kingsport, Elizabethton, Irwin, and Johnson City, that started as a railroad town in the 1850s and named after Johnson's Depot. If you're a history buff, you will never run out of places to visit. with all the larger-than-life characters that lived and traveled in the area, and endless historic sites.
Number 6, outdoor activities. Honestly, the list of what you can't do is way shorter, but if you yearn to get out and experience nature, wait till you live here. Do you like to hike? This area is a hiker's nirvana and includes the most famous footpath in the country, the Appalachian Trail, where almost 300 miles of exploration amongst some of the tallest peaks east of the Mississippi awaits. Do you like to bike? Tannery Knobs Mountain Bike Park covers over 40 acres of off-road trails. This world-class park was opened in 2018 and is easily accessible to Johnson City's downtown shops and restaurants. Another great choice is the Tweetsie Trail, a 10-mile trail that connects Johnson City to Elizabethton and is the longest Rails to Trails project in Tennessee. Go up into the mountains for ATV off-road trails, camping, hunting, or go fly fishing in a blue ribbon trout stream. Go kayaking or experience whitewater rafting on the Nolichucky River, voted as one of the top 10 whitewater experiences in the country. Ever been ziplining before? We have the longest, tallest, and fastest zip line in Tennessee, just outside of Elizabethton. Of course, you don't have to venture far away, as you can take in a leisurely walk or jog in a city park, or grab a hot dog and take in a baseball game from a local Appalachian League baseball team, with names such as the Johnson City Doughboys, the Elizabethton River Riders, the Greenville Flyboys, and my favorite team name, the Burlington Sock Puppets. You're sure to have a good time. And last but surely not least, how could I fail to mention one of the most iconic sporting venues in the entire world, known as the last great Coliseum or the world's fastest half mile, the Bristol Motor Speedway. With a capacity to seat 162,000 people, this speedway is considered the #1 bucket list track to visit for NASCAR fans, and is a wonderful asset to this area.
Number 5, the weather. Clients almost always seem to ask these 3 questions. Do you have 4 seasons? How much snow do you get? And do you have tornadoes? Well, today I'm going to try to answer all 3 of those questions. Yes, we do have 4 seasons, but they're pretty mild seasons. Our summers aren't those hot, grueling, long summers like you see further down south, and we don't have the cold winters below 0 temperatures and tons of snow like you see up in the Northeast. In the summer, our temperatures do get into the high to mid 80s in the peak summer months, but in the evenings we get down to the mid 50s or 60s. So it's a great time to open the windows in your home or have a campfire. I find that I need a little jacket or a sweater, probably because I moved here from Fort Lauderdale. Our winter temperatures are in the mid to low 40s as far as the highs, and then we get down into the 20s. Occasionally you'll see some teens and some wind chills closer to 0, but that's usually just temporary for a few days, which leads us to snow. Yes, we do have snow, and for instance, in the Johnson City area, the average snowfall per year is around 11 inches, and that's spread out over several snowfalls. This past winter, we had snow for the first time and a white Christmas in 30 years. I know I enjoyed it, and I felt like it was a real blessing after the year that we've had with this pandemic. And every once in a while, we get a snowstorm like this, and this year we are lucking out because it is Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas! Now, Shad, I'm not so sure. Fall is absolutely gorgeous here. People travel from everywhere to see the changing colors on the trees, especially up in the mountains. And our peak time for fall colors is the end of October or beginning of November. And during that time, temperatures tend to be in the 50s to 60s and down to the 30s and 40s. Spring seems to have similar temperatures with highs in the 70s in late May, which brings us to tornadoes. Johnson City and the surrounding area does have tornadoes, but I'm going to pop this map up here of the state of Tennessee showing the amount of tornadoes from 1950 to 2020 across the state. As you can see, Johnson City and some of the surrounding areas, you'll see numbers like 7, 3, 4, 11. They're pretty low numbers. When you get into the middle part of Tennessee, you'll start to see those numbers double and quadruple. And the same further west, and I'm sure outside of Tennessee also. So yes, we do have tornadoes. Fortunately, the threat of a tornado is much lower in this area. If you prefer 4 seasons, not too much snow, and not too many tornadoes, Northeast Tennessee may be the right mix for you.
Number 4, the beauty. We are fortunate to live in an incredibly scenic land, extending from the grassy meadows of the valley floor to the majestic peaks of the Appalachian Mountains. Beauty is truly everywhere here. Believed to be almost 500 million years old, the Appalachian Mountains once reached elevations rivaling those of the Alps and the Rocky Mountains before experiencing natural erosion. But what remains is sure to instill a sense of awe and inspiration. Take in the beauty of a mountain lake, such as Watauga Lake shown here, one of the cleanest lakes in the country. To the beautiful flowing streams and rivers coming down the mountains, and occasionally falling over a number of waterfalls that exist in the area. Because of the diverse elevations and central position in the eastern half of the United States, there is more biodiversity here than most areas of the country. And here's one interesting fact. There are more species of trees here than all of Europe combined. So whether you decide to hike up into the mountains, or simply take a nice leisurely Sunday drive around the back roads, it's easy to see why we can't get enough of this place. So come take a look where nature keeps all of the scenery.
Number 3, the location. Tennessee's border touches on 8 other states: Missouri, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, and Kentucky. Tennessee is often referred to as the halfback state. What does that mean? Well, you know all those northerners that moved way down south? Well, many of them are moving halfway back. So when you think of Tennessee, think location, location, location.
Number 2, the cost of living. Besides having a high quality of life and a strong economy led by healthcare, one of the main reasons Johnson City consistently ranks as one of the best places to live is the low cost of living. In fact, Tennessee is ranked as having the second lowest tax burden of all 50 states, so your hard-earned dollar stretches that much more here. Depending on which online site you pull your data from, Johnson City's cost of living is generally 10 to 15% lower than the national average. And one of the key components of this cost savings is the fact that Tennessee has no state income tax. Just one of only 9 states in the country with this benefit. For comparison, all of the 8 states Tennessee shares its border with have income tax rates over 5%. With housing being one of the key index factors for cost of living analysis, everyone wants to know when buying a home. What are my property taxes going to be? Well, you're in luck again. We also happen to enjoy one of the lowest property tax rates in the country. Anyone sensing a pattern here? So here's an example. If you were to buy a home located in the city for $300,000, a general rule of thumb would be an annual property tax bill of around 1% or $3,000. If you were to buy the same home but outside the city limits, you would generally have a tax bill of half that amount, or around $1,500. Again, $1,500 a year for property taxes on a $300,000 property. So if having a high quality of life and a low cost of living are important factors to consider when moving anywhere, you might want to take a look at Johnson City in Northeast Tennessee. As you'll see, it would be difficult for other areas of the country to compete.
Number 1, the people.
Hands down, people was definitely our first choice when selecting the 7 reasons that people are moving here. Whenever our clients come to town, the first thing they say to us is, wow, the people are so fantastic. They are so sweet and nice and helpful.
And I have a perfect example. I was out showing a house, a log home up in the mountains, and sometimes you can get turned around, and I pulled off to the side of the road just for a split second, and the very first car that pulled by stopped and asked if I was okay. And it's just, I wasn't surprised either. It happens over and over around here, the kindness of people.
You go out into the parking lot of the grocery store, there aren't carts everywhere. There's not a cart running into your car because people actually put them away. They take them in, and even when you're done with the cart, it's not unusual for somebody to say, hey, can I help you with that? Another big thing, you're driving down the road, there's a funeral procession. People pull over. They take that 20 or 30 seconds to honor that family and that person's life. I love that so much.
As my sister once said, it's the largest small town atmosphere she's ever lived in, and she's lived in a few different places around the country. And it's true, it's when you go to a restaurant or to the grocery store or pumping your gas at the gas station, you'll end up running into someone that you've met or someone that's connected to someone you have met, and it's really an awesome feeling.
You heard of Southern hospitality? It's a real thing here. People helping people, family, friends, and a sense of community. So if you're someone that already lives here, thank you for being so awesome. We appreciate it. If you'd like to surround yourself with awesome people, well, Johnson City and the surrounding area may be the place for you. If you're thinking about relocating to Johnson City or maybe coming for a visit, follow our YouTube channel, Living in Johnson City, Tennessee. If you have questions, we'd be happy to help. Email, call, or text us. And most of all, we hope we'll see you in Johnson City real soon.